Alright, hello guys, how's it going? Today we're going to be talking about our official December forecast. A lot of you have been asking about this one, and here it is. We're going to get right into things, but before I do, I'd ask that you do subscribe if you do like weather-related content, and also make sure to share this with your friends and family if you think they will find it useful or interesting. Now let's get right into things. We're going to start out with our precipitation forecast here for December, and you can see really the northern half of the country looks to have the above average precipitation for the most part. In the west, it dips a bit further south there into the southern Rockies. We see the Pacific Northwest, Midwest, Great Lakes, and New England all being included in this above average precipitation. Now, as we add our second layer here, this is where things become a lot more prominent. In that first layer, that's where it's not really noticeable, but on paper, it is slightly above average precipitation. In this second shade is where you'll start to notice it a lot more. So I think the Rockies, we're going to see very similar conditions to what we've seen this later November. Some big storms coming from the Northwest and potentially even for California there. And really going to bring a lot of precipitation to these Rockies regions and then possibly back up into the Midwest. But the real reason why I have the dark green going to the Midwest and into some of those Great Lakes regions is clippers. I think we're going to be seeing a bit of clippers. We've seen some in the past, and I think we might see some more potentially as well. Notice New England as well is in that slightly above average precipitation. They might make their way all the way across the Great Lakes and into the New England regions, and sometimes they even go into the ocean and turn into Miller B nor'easters, which leads to a lot more precipitation than just a typical clipper. All right, now let's look at your below average precipitation regions here. And you can see in our southeast and a little bit of Texas there, that's where we're expecting some drier conditions. I expect a high pressure system to stay in place a lot of the time this December and really will lead to less precipitation and warmer conditions for this region. But we will get into our temperature forecast right now, actually. As you can see, this is our above average temperature region. And notice it takes up about the whole southern half of the country here. This is going to be due to a pretty zonal pattern, meaning the jet stream isn't really going to have a lot of dips most of the time. And if it does, it's going to be smaller dips. So I expect above average conditions for that southern half. And really, it's going to be slightly warm. In the southeast, we were really expecting this. On paper, we saw the winter of 2014, the December of 2014, which is my top analog for this December, actually had a southeast ridge and really had warmer temperatures across the board for the entire United States. And then everything's looking to shape up that way as well. So when those two things match up perfectly, I really feel pretty confident in it. Now, let's add our second shade of orange here, and you can see it's for the southeast. We are going to be dealing with a bit of a southeast ridge, indicating again that high pressure system is going to be in place. And really, we're going to see warmer temperatures try to make its way for the southeast a lot of the time. And it's going to be pretty noticeable in this region. Again, those lighter orange shades, not really going to be too noticeable, but in this darker, almost red color, you're definitely going to notice that it's quite a bit warmer than what you're typically used to. Let's add our below average area as well now. And you can see really that northern quarter of the country, I would say, we really have some below average temperatures, but nothing too extreme for some of the Great Lakes, Midwest, northern Rockies, and then a little bit of northern New England there as well. We might be dealing with some below average temperatures, but you won't notice it too much. It's actually going to feel quite average, and this is going to probably end up being the warmest month of the winter, I expect. And really, I expect a lot of people to be like, well, your winter forecast was calling for colder than normal conditions. First off, I was calling for a warmer southeast a little bit there, so that is kind of playing out. And also, my top analog during all of my winter forecasts was 2014 to 2015, so we knew December was looking to probably be warm, and sure enough, that's the way things are shaping up now. So everything is going as expected. Now we're about to get into our overall forecast, which is super exciting, and it's really a fan favorite. Very, very beautiful map, and it's going to give you a great opinion of what I think you should expect for your region during this December. All right, we're going to get things started out west, where you can see we're expecting some big storms there for that kind of greenish, I'd say mint green color, and those white colors. It's all the same thing. The white colors is where I expect some more snow, definitely some big snowstorms, and then the green is where I expect mostly rain, obviously, but there will be some snow in the green, some rain in the white. Vice versa. And we can see there is that gray area as well for some of the four corner states, and that's where we're expecting some average conditions. Everybody always asks about the gray area, and that's actually just where I'm not really expecting anything too noticeable to be that different from normal. We can see up north there for the Midwest and Great Lakes, we have Arctic cold, at least at times. I think that it will be pretty inconsistent, but the Arctic cold will be there at times, obviously, and that's quite typical, but will be a little bit below average, so a little bit more of that Arctic air than what's normal for December. And to your south, we see occasional cold in that blue region from Nebraska and South Dakota through Indiana, Illinois, Ohio, Kentucky, a little bit of Missouri and Iowa as well, and then into the mid-Atlantic states as well. This is where I expect that Arctic cold to sometimes dip down, but it's going to be occasional, not really leading to too much difference in your average. But definitely there will be cold at times, and it's December, so everybody's going to be experiencing a little bit of cold, obviously, from time to time. So this, no matter where you're at, that doesn't mean you're not getting cold, but it's just about who's getting more cold than what's normal and who's getting less cold than what's normal. We see for the New England and Northeast states, we see some snowstorms there. We're already going to be seeing that in the first couple of days of December. We're looking for a pretty major snowstorm, actually, for a lot of these regions to set up. That's what tomorrow's video I'm expecting to be about, so stay tuned for that. I knew a lot of people would probably ask about that snowstorm, and I am going to have an update out for it tomorrow or the next day, but probably tomorrow. So stay tuned for that. Now we can see for some of those south central regions in the United States, we see a bit warmer than normal conditions there. For a lot of regions like Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, Arkansas, Louisiana, states like that, we're really going to be dealing with a little bit of warmer than normal conditions, but not quite as much as in that orange shade. Notice in southern Texas, there's a little bit of a color difference down there. You can hardly notice it, but that's where I'm expecting a little bit of drier conditions as well. And for the southeast, you can see southeast ridge. That's going to lead to some more dry conditions south of that word, of those two words there. And then to the north of it, really warmer than normal conditions, but average precipitation. And to the south of it, we actually have warmer than normal conditions as well, but it will also be dry in Florida and southern Georgia and southern South Carolina, and that's what I'm trying to indicate there. Alright, so to finish this video up, I wanted to show you guys what December of 2014 looked like, and then I'm going to show you a comparison of how this November has gone and then how the November of 2014 has gone. Because so far that analog year has worked out so good, and I'm actually very impressed by it. And I wanted to show you what we expected to see that December, and then we're also going to see at the end of this December, by the time we're in January, how good it's lined up so far for December as well. So that's going to be exciting to see progress. But here was the December of 2014, and you can see for the United States, we really were dealing with warmer than normal conditions for the entire thing. And this was a very cold winter, guys, especially for the eastern United States. This is the year where everybody was talking about the polar vortex and all that. So this was a very cold winter, but December just didn't overwhelm. It was kind of very underwhelming, actually, and that's very typical in some cold winters, especially recently. We've been dealing with warmer Decembers followed by January and February really being the very cold and snowy months. So this does not mean anything for a winter forecast, and actually, it actually helps me to feel very confident in it, because if December shapes up the way I think it will, that's exactly how I've expected it to shape up all along. Now, let's look at how November of 2014 went. You can see very cold for some of those central regions of the United States and Midwest, as well as for the South Central, the Southeast, Northeast. Basically, the eastern two-thirds of the United States were very cold, especially in those greens. And then that second shading of blue, that's almost like a purplish blue, that was very cold conditions. And if you guys live in any of these regions, you know that this November has actually felt a lot like that November. And let's move on. We're going to play a game of spot the difference here. Just picture this, and then we're going to move on to this November. And you can see there definitely is some key differences, but for the most part, it's actually shaped up to be very similar. Those green colors are a bit further east than they were in 2014, but really, if you look at where the cold was located and where the warm was located, it was very similar Novembers. And that's very interesting because, well, that was my analog for November, and it shaped up almost perfectly. That's about as good as you can ask for an analog to shape up. It's never going to look exactly the same, but that was a success. Definitely a success story, and we're going to have to see if December shapes up to feel and look exactly how 2014 December did, and if that's the case, then we're going to feel very confident that we will have a similar January and February to how 2014 to 2015 went. So it's going to be very interesting to shape up, and I hope that you guys subscribe to the channel and keep up to date with it as we continue to see how this winter is going to shape up to be. We will continue the monthly forecast, obviously, the snowstorm forecast, and all that stuff. We will continue to be your source for that, hopefully. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope to see you guys in the next one.